everybody, Kirsten here, and it's time for Kirsten's Corner. So we just finished the coach-a-thon for this week, and you might know that this entire week is about relationships. You know, how can we create drama-free, harmonious relationships? And so I was just talking with Josh, who is here right now, and we were like, okay, what else could we talk about that has to do with relationship? I mean, we just spent an hour and a half, you know, really deep diving into that. And as we were talking, the subject of, let's call it dating or looking for a mate, or, you know, came up. And so we thought that would be a really nice way to round out this week and this week's theme. And so here are a couple of things to think about. So, you know, generally when we're dating or when we're looking for a person, obviously we're hoping to find the perfect mate, right? And so we have in our mind this like, okay, here is what a perfect mate might look like. Check, 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 check. But most of the time we meet people that, let's say, meet, if we're lucky, 80% of what we are hoping for, right? And then there's that 20% where you go, God, I wish he were just a little different. I wish she wouldn't quite do it that way. But let's get together. Let's marry. And I know that, you know, this person has, and this is the words Josh used, this person has potential. He has the potential to improve, and I know I am the perfect person to nurture that potential and train that potential and make him a perfect 100%, right? How often do we get into the relationships in that way? And I know I'm really exaggerating it, but just think about it when you have dated in the past and there's just these like, ooh, this doesn't quite work for me, but you know, I'm gonna ignore it because I know I can change him. I know I am the one person who can change him. And so we enter into these relationships not seeing the full perfection of where the other person is. We see their perfection 60%, we see them 80%, and then we have this gap that we make this other person, that we see in this other person, and we think we can use the relationship to change the other person. And that is a recipe for disaster. When we do not see the other person in their perfection right off the bat, you start with a gap, you start with needing to fix them, seeing them as not perfect. And we start very quickly then with the snipping and the sniping and the trying to tell them what to do better because, yeah, you're now on a mission to make them 100% perfect. And here's the deal. They're not going to change. You cannot force somebody to change. So we just did a whole coach-a-thon around this notion of how you can be in a relationship and not create drama and trauma. And the key understanding is that everything that comes in front of you, including your partner, is a mirror reflection of your thoughts and your perception. So if you're already coming into a relationship, seeing a gap and seeing their imperfection, guess what? What they're mirroring back is your own imperfections. And so unless you are willing to look at yourself and acknowledge that ego without being hard on yourself, without judging yourself, but actually saying, there is an ego here that I see in myself and it's being reflected by this other person. And I'm going to go over here and deal with this ego. I'm going to see it. I'm going to observe it, not become it. And I'm going to name it and let it go. And guess what? When you can do that, when you can bring yourself into a view of you are perfect, that other person in front of you is going to shape and morph and shape shift into absolute perfection. And, I just wrote a blog about Rennie and my relationship, and I honestly share about, our difference in age is 28 years. And as I say in my blog, that was certainly not what I was putting on my vision boards for my next relationship. I wasn't thinking, a 3-decade difference would be really what I'm hoping for. But what I've learned over the last, 12 years that I've been with this man is that is not a gap that I now care an iota about. I really don't care that he's 3 decades older. What I care about is that he is the most amazing, loving, gentle, kind, and spiritually mature human being that I know. And I feel so grateful to be walking this journey alongside him, and that I have no need to fix him, that I have no longer any need to see the age difference and constantly point it out and make it something that needs, attention. So think about when you're in dating, and think about how you approach dating. And are you willing, when you find somebody that could be a potential long-term mate, are you looking for their gaps and their flaws, and allowing yourself the belief that you can change them? Or are you willing to see them in their absolute perfection and come into the relationship that way, knowing that if you get triggered by that person, it's in you? So I hope that was valuable for those of you who are actually not in a relationship, but actually looking for one. Some things to just think about. So there you have it. That was Kirsten's Corner for this week. Take care, everybody.